Welcome back to the D4 channel, and today we will be doing a spoiler review on episodes 10 through 12 of Andor Season 2. But before we get to that, please like and subscribe to the D4 channel for all your Star Wars entertainment on this side of the YouTube galaxies. And please leave a comment below on this video and all our videos. We will respond to every comment. But without further ado, let's get to it. Episodes 10 through 12, BBY1 of Andor. So if you haven't seen Andor Season 2, episodes 10 through 12, leave now because it is a spoiler review. Now, this series has been absolutely fantastic. This is the final arc in Andor's story before we get to Rogue One. And I have to say that this accumulation of story, this final arc, absolutely delivered. We have Luthen Rael. I call him now the godfather of the rebellion, because without him, we now know that the rebellion would not even be a thing. And I love that in the first couple episodes, we see a little bit of backstory for Luthen Rael and what motivates him to do what he is now doing in present day. He was a sergeant in the Imperial Army. I don't know what planet they were on, but clearly they were doing quite a few atrocities there. And he's in his ship, like begging it to stop, begging the horror and the massacre and all the noise and all the terrible things they're doing. He's begging it to stop in his ship by himself. And I love the cinematography of how they shoot it from young Clea's perspective as she's hiding in the ship, watching him like sit there in horror of whatever the hell the Imperials are doing on whatever planet that is, Clea's home planet. And he finds Clea, and obviously he doesn't rat her out to his Imperials, his fellow Imperials, and he tells her, shh, let's be quiet, and he basically adopts her as his daughter. And as this is going on, because this is all kind of happening from Clea's point of view, because in present day, the Imperials, more specifically Dendra Miro, she is hot on the trails of Luthen Rael. And before all that happened, Lonnie, his ISB agent Plant, came to him in a public area and told him he needs safe haven, he needs assurances to make sure that he is safe, his family is safe, because he believes she's burned, because he found a file that he wasn't supposed to find digging into Dendra Miro, because Dendra was so linked to Axis, aka Luthen Rael, and she accessed files to the Death Star. Now, we learn later on in the episodes that are coming later that she did that to try to find access. She didn't really care about all the info on the Death Star. She just happened to find it scavenging for some information. And because Lonnie was tasked to basically watch her and surveil her and all that stuff, he came across that, and because of that, he got really scared, because he learned that the Empire's energy efficient programming is for a massive super weapon called the Death Star. And he goes to tell Luthen, and Luthen's like, we don't have time for this. Like, what is the information you gotta let me know? And he tells him about basically the Death Star. And Luthen, without any remorse, kills him on that bench in the public area, because he knows as much as anybody else knows that I think he feels his time is up, that the Imperials will get him and Lonnie, and so he can't risk any information getting out there. He cannot risk any leaks that would hinder or destroy the rebellion. So he gets rid of the evidence in case of Lonnie, and he goes back. He tells Clea everything that the guy told him, and he says that he's going to go back to destroy all the communication stuff in their office, in the art gallery. She wants to do it, but he says, no, that's my job. And I think he kind of knows that he would have gotten caught there, and he couldn't afford Clea to get caught, as we see in the backstory of him kind of warming up to Clea, teaching her when to fight. That Clea, as a young girl, she wants to fight very bad, and he's like, we're gonna have to lose and lose and lose and lose and lose to win. Like, we're playing the long game here. We're not here for quick gratification against the Empire. We gotta keep seeing the atrocities, poking them a little bit here and there, here and there, here and there, until we finally are ready to strike. So she wants to go and do it. He tells her no. He goes back to Art Gallery. Dedra, I love the whole dynamic with him and Dedra. They're still having their mask on as they're talking. He's the nice, bubbly art gallery guy, and she's the unknowing Imperial ISB agent. And then as soon as she puts that Imperial, I think it was Pathfinder on the table, the one that Andor was selling to Luthen all those years ago in season one, the charade was over. They were like, okay, they know what was up. She knows he's access. She knows that she's onto him, and in great fashion, she's basically saying, "I caught you. I've done it. I finally found out who you are." And he kills himself, or he at least attempts to kill himself, and to stop any leaks of information. And I love this because throughout all of the seasons of Andor, you've seen that Luthen likes to take care of loose ends that could hurt the rebellion, and he is no exception to that fact. He knows absolutely too much about the rebellion, so he has to take himself out of the equation. And I love how that scene plays out, where she has to keep him alive. She messed up the whole operation. She goes in there by herself because she's so sure that she has won, but she has not won a damn thing. Luthen had played his cards exactly the way he wanted it. And so now Clea has the mission now to finish off Luthen. And as she's going through the hospital, she's also having flashbacks of them in the past. And it's cool to see them on Naboo, where he was teaching her, like, if you're gonna press this button, you gotta know what this means. Like the button to explode, I guess, the Imperial convoys. You will end lives. You will cause destruction. He's teaching her, little Claire, that like this is not a game. We are doing this for real, in parallel to what she's about to do in the hospital, where she has a detonator to cause a distraction, so she could get up to Luthen's room and basically take off his life support and end him. And really seeing how Luthen gave everything to his rebellion, no matter how harsh he was, no matter how ruthless he was. He did everything for the fight for freedom, and he said it in the speech he gave in season one to Lonnie, that he is doing this for no praise. It's a sunrise he'll never get to see. He'll never get to see the end of this rebellion, to see the galaxy being freed, as how Luke and Leia and Han and them fought for the freedom. He'll never get to see that, but he knows that he's important to Luke and Leia and all of them, and Mon Mothma doing what they need to do later down the line to make sure the whole galaxy is free. So I love to see his sacrifice, and same thing for Clea. Like, Clea lost her whole family on that whatever massacre Luthen and the Imperial soldiers were a part of, and he became her father figure. No matter how tense and harsh their relationship might have been, he loved her and she loved him, and you could see that when she pulls the plug on his life support, gives him a little kiss, and walks away. And that whole scene of her going through the hospital and basically becoming a nurse to get to the highest floor was so cool to see. I also love that we got K2SO back in these 3 episodes. He was the heart of Rogue One, I think. He's so funny, and to see him and Melchi and them playing cards and kind of vibing and kind of enjoying their life on Yavin for the time being was so cool to see. After everything that happened with the Gorman massacre and Bix leaving Cassian, it's good to see that he had a little light there to keep him company on Yavin. So that was really cool to see. And after Clea escapes the hospital, she tries to contact either Andor or Wilmon, because he got a radio from Luthen in case I guess they needed help, and she's contacting them with a secret code to get her out of here, because Coruscant is a hot box now that she can't be there. Everyone's hot on their tails. Lonnie's dead, Luthen's dead, their cover is blown, and she goes back to the safe house that Luthen had set up for Andor earlier on in season 2. And also to see Dedra Miro, I'd love to see this ISB officer who we learned her parents were criminals, and she was basically fostered by the Imperial kindergartner since she was 3 years old. So this is all she known, and she's trying her best. she's trying her absolute best to live up to the Imperial standards, to do her job or what she feels her job is right. But one thing we learned about the Imperials, they function a lot like the Sith. It's everyone for themselves. In order to get a promotion or to be on top, you have to destroy somebody else. And it's great to see like the whole line of Qui-Gon saying is always a bigger fish. You have Partagaz, who I guess is the leader of that ISB group. Then you have someone like Orson Krennic, who is above him, who is right under Governor Tarkin. And Governor Tarkin, I would say, is on a level or right below Darth Vader. And then Darth Vader is serving Emperor Palpatine. So you have these chains of command that keep going up and up. And Dedra Meero is below all of them. And the minute that information got leaked about the Death Star, Orson Krennic comes in to figure out what the hell is going on. This is the only reason why he'd be here. Because they have no one really to blame, the blame falls on Dedra Meero, and he basically says, "We'll do our best without you. If you're not a rebel spy, you missed your calling. But you fumbled this whole thing. You fumbled the Axis operation. You got the plans to Death Star leaked because all in her files." And he basically dismissed her. She is not part of the ISB anymore. And even though we hate Dedra Meero, everything that she's done, you kind of feel bad for her because she is on the Empire side, but the Empire does not care about anyone at all. Like my mama said, the monster that's screaming loudest, the monster that will come for all of you is Emperor Palpatine. As long as the Death Star gets made and his agenda is completed, everyone is a sacrifice. Nobody matters. And it proves to show no matter how high Dedra climbed in the ISB ladder, she was a sacrificial pawn in this entire game. So it was really terrible to see. I mean, I was happy to see that she got what she got, but it was very, very sad for her character, especially after everything losing her boy in the Gorman massacre. But to see all the tense stuff in the rebellion, like the rebellion is still trying to form. It's still in its infancy, I would say, even though a few days later it will be fully formed and ready to fight the Empire head on, or head on in their case. But you see that a lot of the politics gets in the way of the rebellion, because once Wilman and Andor learn of that message that's coming from Coruscant, they know it's Luthen or Kleya or both of them calling for help, and so they're gonna go without permission, go to Coruscant on an unsanctioned mission to basically extract Luthen or Kleya out of there. And so they obey all the orders, and I love like K2 is like, you wanna know how much orders we disobeyed? 17, and then he turns off the comm, he's like 18, and they fly to Coruscant. And that whole thing where you see the worth of K2SO. We saw the damage that the K2X droids did in the Gorman massacre. And K2 came in very handy here in the rescue of Kleya. Once they get to the safe house, they find Kleya. Kleya tells them everything that Luthen told her in case she doesn't make it out of alive. And the Lonnie's friend, I can't remember his name, he's hauling their trails to secure Kleya, and Kleya, based on what Dedra had told them, despite her being in prison, she's like, this is what I would do. This is what they would do. She's onto you. She would try to send a message. So he goes there to arrest Kleya, and Andor with Melchi. And I love to see Melchi, by the way. Melchi is one of those characters that you see a little bit in Rogue One, but after seeing him on the prison in Arcana 5 and seeing him here, his sacrifice going to scare me so much now. So to see him and Andor really kind of have that buddy relationship going there as a team was really nice to see, and really gives more ground to how close they are. When Andor's going to scare him, he said, I'm going to go right along Captain Andor because we've been in prison together. We've been through so much together. I trust him. We play cards together. Like, wherever he goes, I'm going. So I love to see that. And then to see the whole thing of like K2 coming in there like a monster and using that ISB guy as a shield as he's taking down all the Imperial soldiers was so cool to see. He's like, I finally proved my worth, huh? And yes, you did prove your worth, K2, and you will have much more to prove in the days to come for the rebellion. But I love to see that they extract Kleya out of there. She finally gets to see everything that Luthen and her had built. And it sucks to see that the higher ups of the rebellion, not Mon Mothma, But kind of like the Bales and the other two senators, they're talking bad about Luthen. It's like, I love that Andor was like, you have not given a fraction compared to what Luthen has gave to this rebellion, because they're out here badmouthing him, telling him that the information that Andor is telling them is not true or might be false information or whatever, and Luthen couldn't be trusted. It's like, Luthen is the reason why all of you guys are here in the first place. And honestly, if it wasn't for people like Andor and oh my God, forgetting the Admiral Radis, the Mon Calamari, people who just go on action, this rebellion would have been nowhere. I mean, in Rogue One, they basically said this rebellion is finished once they learned that the Death Star was a thing. And then it took Andor and Admiral Radis to be like, F that, we're going out there to fight off of hope, because what else do we have? We can't just destroy everything that we built. So you could really see the political views of the rebellion getting in the way of just getting stuff done, action, because the Empire is a massive thing. They're getting close to the super weapon that will assure their victory for all time, and you guys cannot afford to deliberate. So it was really cool to see, like, the rebellion is far from being its complete version, even though in a few days they will be forced to be completely and utterly unified against their fight against the Empire. But it's cool to see all the pieces come together. Andor has finally gathered everything that he needs to become the person he needs to see what we see in Rogue One. And so a guy named Tivik is contacting Andor to let him know, because Andor knows about the weapon. He just doesn't know that it's a super weapon, a planet-killing weapon. So Tivik, he's going to go meet Tivik that we see on Kafrene in Rogue One, so that he can get full information of why the hell they're on Jedha, what is Saw doing on Jedha, and what is really is the super weapon. So as he's going off, you have these little montages of what everyone's doing. I love that Partagaz causes basically seppuku. He hears Nemik's manifesto about how the rebellion is everywhere and insurrection pushes their lines forward, and that the Empire's need for control is so unnatural. And he's listening to all that because since season one, he's been saying the ISB is like doctors. They're supposed to cure a disease, which is the rebellion. And he realized that this disease is everywhere. And I guess out of shame and maybe out of some fear of what's going to happen to him, because he failed so drastically, he kills himself. And the other Imperial agent stops the stormtrooper from going in there. He's like, let it happen. And so it's cool to see that he kind of got his comeuppance from everything that's happening. Then we get shots of Dedra. She seems to be on an Arkina prison, which really sucks for her. Her parents were criminals. Now she is deemed a criminal and is probably in prison for the rest of her life. We see that Clea is finally there with everybody. Mothma with her cousin. And then we see, of course, Orson Krennic looking over, watching his good old baby, the Death Star, being built on the final touches. And then at the end, we see that Bix had a kid. Andor has a son. Now, we're definitely going to get stories about his son, whether it's in comics, animated show, books, something like that. Bix and his son, he has the blood of one of the greatest rebellion soldiers to ever live running through his veins. He had to have been doing something within that time, probably closer to where the sequel trilogies are, because he's basically a brand new spanking baby now. So it's interesting to see how they're going to weave him into the story of the sequel trilogies, because obviously this was made before episode 7, 8, and 9, so his son's not in it. But I'm pretty sure his son had some kind of involvement in the resistance with Leia and them. He had to be, knowing who his father was. So I think this series was absolutely fantastic. And watching this and going straight into Rogue One is a completely different film. You need to watch this show and also read the book. I believe it's called Catalyst. If we do those two things and then you go watch Andor is going to become a completely different film than if you just watched it not knowing any of these characters, not knowing any of the backstory. Everything that they do, every decision they make, there's so much weight behind it, because you see what these people had to do to get there, and you see what they had to do to get Luke to where he needed to be to destroy the Death Star and basically bring balance to the Force and peace to the galaxy. So I love this series. This series was fantastic. This arc, I definitely give it 9 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic. The writing is so good in this show. The music is fantastic. I want more of this in Star Wars with a little bit more of the Star Wars flavors, but I want the writing, the tone, the essence, and I want the acting to be in all Star Wars things, even the animated series. But keep more fun of the animated series, but put all of that in what Andor put in, and you will have near perfect Star Wars content. Like there's not one moment that I was bored in Andor, and Andor is not specifically a shooting laser sword battling all the type of thing, but just how the writing is, everything they say is gets you so glued to the TV that it is fantastic television, and this show should win all the awards. I love this series, and I'm one of the people that said, "Why the hell do we need an Andor series?" Now I'm saying, what would we have done without Andor? This has shown so much more about the rebellion and more of the Empire. Like before, the Empire used to be bumbling idiots. Now you really, really hate the Empire because they freaking suck. But this show, this series did not suck. So you let me know what your thoughts of Andor in the comments below. Did you love this series? Did you not like the series? You let me know in the comments below. Please tell me what your thoughts were on 10, 11, and 12. And if you, after watching Andor, did you go straight into Rogue One and then straight into New Hope, and that changed your entire viewing of those two particular movies? You let me know in the comments below. And as always, I'm your boy Hamid Mark. Please like and subscribe to the D4 channel for all your Star Wars entertainment on this side of the YouTube galaxy. And as always, may the Force be with you.